Hey guys, welcome to week 3, Theology Proper. This week we'll be studying about God the Father, His attributes, His existence, and a few other topics. I want to just walk through the assignments that you'll have this week and then go through a couple extra things as well. First of all, you have your form for week 3. I would suggest watching the apologetics videos and also doing some of the reading before you tackle this. It asks you to write a letter to a non-believing friend who doesn't believe in God and asks you to use some of the apologetic arguments that we'll be reading about this week. The second thing I have here for you is the reading. This is our Moody Handbook of Theology, Chapter 19. Notice it is not all of Chapter 19, just these pages, 179 to 203. It ends just before the names of God. We'll start that off next week. Your workbook will be covering pages 31 to 40. There are a couple articles in there. And one extra reading, this will be on reserve in the library. It's a book by Charles Baker called The Dispensational Theology. You're going to read chapter 18, pages 134 to 144. And this is another book that will go through the attributes of God. This will be useful for you to just get another look at a different opinion of the attributes of God, but also useful for your short paper, and we'll talk about that in just a second. The next item is, it says apologetics, and it's a folder. When you click into the apologetics folder, there'll be 4 videos here on each of the main points that you'll find in the workbook, page 33. The next item is your first short paper. Short papers are going to be 750 to 1,000 words, approximately 3 pages, MLA format. Your topic this week is on one of the attributes of God. You will pick one attribute. Your requirements will be to do this: define that attribute thoroughly, use at least 4 scripture passages where it shows God either using or describing God as having that attribute. I will require 2 outside academic sources. That means outside of your Moody Handbook of Theology. Your Baker book, the Baker book would be one of them. So I'm giving you one of them. A Dispensational Theology by Baker you may use. You need to find another academic source as well. And then there's a key point here I want to make sure you see. Also give application. Why does this attribute matter? What does it mean to my life today? Are there any controversies concerning this attribute? If you have any questions, make sure you ask me. And then finally, the journal, week 3. Pretty much the same, but make sure you always read the prompts. They're a little bit different. I asked you this week to list 2 verses that were in your reading that were meaningful to you for some reason and explain what they were talking about. The other 2 items are the same. I want to show you your book real quick. I have it ready to be pulled up here. These are the pages we'll be covering starting on page 31. Again, just a list, a page to put some notes in. Here are those apologetics. You will find this in your Moody Handbook reading, but also in those videos. Here are some quotes here for you to read, some reading to go through. Here's a little article on knowing God. Over here on this page it says false cosmologies. I want to just give you the words here for these 5 spots. The first one is materialism or atheism. Materialism, I'll write it in for you. Materialism, atheism. This is number 2, Roman numeral number 2. It is pantheism. You'll find these in your ends book. Number 3, this image right here of a big thing and then a small thing is going to be called deism. You'll hopefully understand why it's God separate from the world. Number 4, this one will be called dualism. Dualism. That one's not found in ends, at least not in the reading you have. So you might have to look that one up. What is dualism? What does that mean? And then finally, the 5th one here, I did my best to describe polytheism with this picture. Probably heard of that one. And so there's the headings for each one, and then you can define them based on your ends reading. I just want to make sure you see that. 39 and 40. This right here, I will try to get you the answers for this slot, but I do want to make sure you see this. This is very important, I think, for the understanding God. It says here, we can never fully know God. Know, K-N-O-W. But we can know God. We can know God enough. We can know some about God sufficiently, and we can know God um, necessarily from what God has revealed of himself to us in Scripture. So the reason I put this in here is I just like to make sure everybody understands that we'll never fully know God, but we can know things about God. We can know him sufficiently, we can know him necessarily, but we won't ever know everything about God. Just want to make sure I clear that up because this is not in your reading. It's actually from a book called Knowing God by J.I. Packer. If you're interested in that, it's a great book. And then finally, your last page of your notes for this week, it is a chart for attributes of God. Here in this top part, how do we classify the attributes? When you look into the Moody Handbook of Theology, I believe he classifies them as relative and absolute. There are other ways to classify them, moral and immoral, and incommunicable and communicable. So I just want to make sure you see that. He does list those categories. He calls them categories in his book. So you'll see that. And then the chart down here is where you'll actually put the attribute, definition, verses about it. And in relation there, it's like, what does it mean to me type of thing. There's more attributes than there are spots in the chart here. Okay, so this is just a chance for you to write some of them down. You probably won't even be able to write all of them down, but maybe mark the main ones that you think are important, and be ready because some of those will be on the quiz as well. Finally, one more thing. This is a little longer introduction video, but I do want to cover one more thing. I'm going to show you your syllabus here real quick. This one right here, Christian Ministry and Service Journal. I just want to remind you of this because it is coming up September 30th, which is not this week, it's next week. You do need to have your initial commitment form in, your Christian ministry form in. And this is nothing else. This second part here, this paper is later on in the semester. All you have to do is turn that form in, and you do need to turn it into me, not Jim Gamble. If you have any questions about that, see me. Jim Gamble can also help you if you need some help getting a Christian ministry, but make sure you get this done by September 30th. It's a easy way to bump your grade up because if you turn that in, it's like 5% of your grade, 100%. So make sure you do that. Again, as always, I appreciate your guys' hard work. Thank you. You guys are participating very well. Make sure you keep that up. And also remember, email me or contact me if you have any questions.